Includes pre-printed riddles and clues? Sounds like just a piece of paper thrown in there. Hey toy fans, I'm here with another opening. This time we're looking at one of our retro toys. I'm looking at ToyBiz's DC Comics Superheroes The Riddler. This has always been kind of an interesting one. I never had this as a kid. I ended up getting one as a gift from someone. I have another one that I'm wanting to give to my son because he was really wanting this particular character with his superheroes. So this one I figured we'd open up, maybe even check out the riddles and see kind of how he is. He looks a little strange in box, but we'll get to it in a minute. Now I have some wonderful childhood memories of looking at this card, especially when we had the Batman logo up here. Batman, Joker, and Bob the Goon from the series that only had like 3 figures. Well, you had more because you had different faced Batmans, but really 3 figures. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vehicles. So it's kind of weird that, they didn't carry on with the Batman line, but instead they gave us DC Comics superheroes, kind of opening up the band. And we get a lot of Batman villains in there. Now, this gold card back, I absolutely love the gold card back with the Star Spangled Banner up there. I never did get the Kenner DC Super Friends line there, so this is what I ended up getting when I was getting into superhero figures at the time. So instead, their cards, I believe, were blue. This time they were blue with like a yellow and red stripe. We're getting gold with the almost like Wonder Woman-esque, like red with yellow stars, and then the DC Comics superheroes here giving us all of our primary colors. Now here we get a nice drawing of the Riddler, and he's like working out his clues on some paper, and it says includes pre-printed riddles and clues. So yeah. Inside behind him is those riddles and clues, and he comes in a pretty big bubble, considering that all he has is riddles and clues. Maybe I'd like to see him with a staff or something. That'd have been kind of cool, but, I digress. Alright, going to the back, we see, of course, that really old Gotham-type background that they had going on with the Gotham Globe paper down here. It's like a little file card. I love these. And of course, in the line, you also had Superman, Lex Luthor, and Wonder Woman. You got the Penguin and the Riddler, and I do have the Penguin. We'll take a look at him. Mr. Freeze and Robin. I do not have Mr. Freeze anymore, but he is on my radar. That's probably one of my favorite figures out of this particular line. And then we get the prototype mock-up of the Riddler. Now, let me go ahead and I'm going to kind of jump in and say, okay, this is the figure that we end up with. And this is their prototype. I would not have been sold on this prototype. Usually the prototype looks a lot better than the figure that we're getting. In this case, I feel like the figure really outshines the prototype. That prototype's a little rough there. I don't know why, but it's a little rough. Over here it says, can the Riddler really be caught? If you can figure out his riddles and clues, you might have a chance. 6 pre-printed riddles are included for the Riddler to leave behind after committing his crimes. Be part of the action and adventure by creating your own riddles. So that's a pretty neat thing. I kind of wonder what kind of riddles we're going to be getting in here. Now that's the figure on the card, and honestly, it's not going to tell us anything else about this toy. We need to get this one out and get to playing. And straight out of the package, here's the Riddler, and here's his clues. I have released him from his plastic prison. I did keep the card because I really do like those cards. And of course, here's our figure. Now, it looks a lot like the other. I think this is the one I'm giving to my kid. This is the one that I'm keeping. There's really not a lot of difference. A little bit of difference in paint app, but other than that, they're pretty much the same. Now, with him, he has all these printed question marks all over him, and they do run the length of his body, really. They got him on the back, got him on the side, and what I find interesting is this one actually has screw mounts on it. The Penguin and some of the other ones that we've gotten in the past don't have that, but this particular figure does, which would make him really good for customizers, as you can unscrew him and probably take him apart and do what you need. He does come with this one closed fist that is very nondescript. And, you know, as far as like articulation, these things are pretty simple. You've got your swivel head, you've got your swivel shoulders, swivel hand, and I'm not sure how much that hand can actually hold. It is open though. So punching fist, open fist. You got those swivel thighs and those hinged knees. He does have some track on the bottom of his feet, but no pegs. Nothing to peg him into anything else. And mine, okay, finally got him to stand up. Maybe. I might have to sit him down. Sit down, Riddler. Let's read your clues. Okay, so this is what we get. We get this thing that's called Riddler's riddles. Okay. I'm not sure I really want to break these up. I kind of like it as is. Maybe this is something I should like copy and find a way to put it on file for everyone. It says Riddler's riddles. Why did Batman freeze the Riddler in a block of ice? He wanted to see a hardened criminal. Wah, wah. Why did the Riddler take 3 baths a day? Because grime does not pay. Oh man. What's the difference between a jeweler and the Riddler in prison? One sells watches and the other watches his cell. I like that one. That was pretty good. What is it called when the Riddler and his men steal from a farmer? Crops and robbers. Where can the Riddler steal the world's largest diamond? A baseball stadium. That makes sense. What did Batman say when the Riddler stole his drapes? It's curtains for you. You know, it's just so bad. This reminds me, in my class I was reading a whole bunch of math jokes that were like math puns for students. And my high schoolers, they absolutely hated it. But I would do that to drive them crazy sometimes. So, you know, this reminds me of some of those jokes. But it really does feel like this is more like the, you know, 66 style, you know, Riddler, kind of what they're thinking of, the Frank Gershom style Riddler, not really anything else. It's that silly, and the riddles are that silly. You know, when I compare that to, like, you know, the 2022 Batman, that the Riddler is sadistic and has things like "you're El Rata," and it's like, okay, well, it's not El, it's La, so you're RL Rata. I can't remember the rest, but it's like the whole idea was that, you know, they're leaving clues. These are more like just kind of silly, trivial jokes. So it feels more like the 1966 style Batman, which I really happen to love that as well. So let's compare them with some other figures in the line. Now, out of the actual DC superheroes line, I know that both of these are on the back of the card for characters within the line. So you got, you know, your Robin with the karate chop, though I'm missing a lot of his accessories, and then you've got the Penguin over here with his shooting umbrella, and, you know, he fits in nicely. His head is a little off. It feels just a little small in comparison to his body, and his fist is rather nondescript, and his hand is kind of awkward, but ToyBiz was kind of, you know, they had some very awkward sculpts here and there on a lot of their figures. Let's look at some from the Batman line. And of course, from the Batman line, you got Batman. And let's take a look at him with the Joker from the movie. Now, it's interesting because he seems kind of small in comparison to them. And, you know, I'm not sure, like, that's just a thing, but, you know, foot to knee, he's kind of small. Thighs about the same size as the other thighs, but his torso seems smaller than other figures in the line. He feels more like he's taken from like the Flash mold, and he's not quite as big or elongated. If we were to put Bob in there as well, so Bob the Goon, Bob comes up close to head height, but still is a little bit taller than the other figures. So he does feel a little short. Let's compare him to some of the McFarlane toys. With the McFarlane toys, we got, of course, that McFarlane Batman. And, you know, the McFarlane Batman, much like the other Batman, stands really tall over him. And then we'll take a look also with him with, let's say, Superman. which he still is really small in comparison. And we'll also look at him with Green Lantern, which is starting to get a little bit closer in height. The John Stewart Green Lantern is a little bit shorter than the Superman shorter than Superman, and a little bit shorter than Batman too. So the heights changed, but it really makes Riddler seem very small. All right, now that's pretty much all I had to say about the Riddler. I really like, the color scheme on him. I think he's a fun figure. When the DC Comics line from Mattel came out, I did pick up a Riddler that was kind of like the same color scheme as this Riddler, and he came with the question mark staff, which I really, really loved. This one, I feel like he could have probably used an accessory that would have been better than just printed, riddles. And the riddles, unless we're rolling it up, doesn't really fit his hand that well. But it's worth noting that, he does come with something, and riddles or not, it's still something. Maybe those riddles will be something I should scan in, have for future archives, so that way if anybody wants to print up a set of their own, probably just message me, and maybe I can send you that JPEG. That's all I got to say about the Riddler from the ToyBiz DC Comics Superheroes toy line. Remember, they're not dolls. In this case, they're action figures and questionable in size. When I'm not recording videos here on YouTube, I'm actually over on a podcast on marvindogmedia.com called Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. It's a really cool toy podcast. Be sure to check it out. Also, I need your help getting my YouTube channel to grow. Be sure to subscribe down below with that big red button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can be alerted of anything that comes from me to you. Like this video, it helps YouTube know that you like what I'm making, and comment down below. I like chatting with you all.